good afternoon. Last time out, a stellar performance from Yannis Walborn combined with a heartbreaking late DNF for Filip Puška meant Walborn's 2-point advantage in the standings increased to 12. Can Puška, Poland's or Meshida stop him? Welcome to round 12 of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship 2023 from the Temple of Speed, Monza in Italy. Who will be saying grazie ragazzi after today's race, and will Holland Racing Team be saying gran macchina as they look to become the first ever WMSC Constructors Champions this afternoon? We will go through what they need to do to make that happen shortly, but first, some introductions. I'm Ash Baker, I'm your commentator, and I'm joined by someone who was actually at Monza just a few weeks ago for the Grand Prix, and I'm sure he will say that this will be completely comparable and if not more exciting this afternoon. Robin Ciuman, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi there. Thanks for having me, and glad to join you here once again. And the championship is a lot closer. At least I can say that. So very excited to see today's race. So very excited to be here.
Absolutely. And as you can see, we only have 4 rounds left. It's all getting quite close in terms of, well, time running out really to try and stop Walborn and Holland Racing Team. Before we get into the standings, let's have a look at what the weather's doing at Monza this afternoon. As ever, WMSC issues a forecast for each race based on the statistical data of the location in the respective month and prepared by neutral persons. And it is going to be hot and sunny, no issues or worries about rain this afternoon. As you can imagine, this news was received slightly unhappily by some of the teams with slightly lower straight line speed. But very interestingly, Ruben Meshida of Optimal was quite happy about this. I think he's quite happy about the package Optimal have got this afternoon, and it might be a lot closer. We were expecting Holland to maybe be quite far ahead with the straight line speed car they've developed throughout the season, but it might be a lot closer than that. So let's look at the standings coming into this round. As mentioned in the intro, Yannis Walborn's lead extended to 12 points over Filip Puška, the late disconnect, really harming his chances there. He would have been within a race win still because he was running in the points at the time, but it's not terminal for his championship chances yet. Pascal Polens remains third. Ruben Meshida continuing his charge up the table, might look to get in the third place this afternoon. Max Reed-Muller, unfortunately, not seeing out the season, so he is fifth. So Lucas Murno might look to break into the top 5. Dylan Fisher as well, now he's been racing and increasing his form throughout the season. He's also charging the field as well, so it might be an interesting fight fifth between those two, between 6th and 7th. Hess remaining 8th, Denny Vella 9th, and Gustavo Frigoto in 10th. Now here comes the all-important one, the constructors' standing. So Holland Racing Team have 130 points. Their lead going into Monza is 58 over Optimal. So maximum points available after Monza, 54. And even that's tough, because obviously 54 it's first and second, and assuming that your rivals do not score anything. So that's even quite a fine margin. So this is what needs to happen. Optimal need to score at least 4 more points than Holland to stay in it. Epic Basilia need to score at least 8 more points to stay in it. If neither of those things happen, Holland Racing Team will be the Constructors' Champions this afternoon. So let's jump into the qualifying session. I believe they're just getting ready, and we will hopefully go out to track in Monza just now. But very interesting afternoon ahead. It's looking a lot closer, Robin, than we were expecting between Holland and Optimal.
Yeah, indeed. I was quite surprised when checking the times that we've seen in practice, because Optimal seemed a lot closer than we would have expected. I mean, in the comparable races, for example, I've seen this season are maybe Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, and there it was pretty much a runaway 1-2 for Holland Racing Team. But Optimal have also seen quite a spike in performance lately, and they have gone for a lot of straight line speed in the latest upgrade. So we might be in for a surprise here today.
Hope so. At least a fight. It might be round 2 of the fight that began in Silverstone between Meschede and Volborn. Sadly cut short with Meschede making an unfortunate move, just misjudged it. Honestly, he apparently went over. Yanis revealed after the race and apologised, said, yep, I just misjudged my braking. I would have called that a complete racing incident. I don't think anyone was particularly to blame, but yeah, obviously behind the wheel of the car, I think Reuven knew he'd done something wrong in that moment, which is a shame. So hopefully he can push Volborn all the way this afternoon. Now, your eyes do not deceive you. There isn't a Holland Racing sister team. That second car just behind Yanis Volborn, I believe, is an Optimal Esports car. And they are in, and that is, it's Reuven Meschede indeed, and they are sporting a special livery this afternoon, very much Italian themed. Robin, as you said in the build-up, kind of makes them look a bit like Prema, and then just behind that we have typically the usually red team of Scuderia Cesario, also sporting a special livery in yellow this afternoon, making them look like Jordan. So, team that was red, not red. Team that hasn't been red is red. I'm sure we won't get confused at all this afternoon with that, Robin.
Yeah, apologies if we do, because yeah.
And we join Yanis Volborn across the start-finish line, and this will be the first flying lap. And there's no messing about waiting for a tow here. It's straight out, throwing the car through the Rettifilio, down through Curva Grande. As has been the case all season long. They start on race fuel as well, so the more laps they can get done in qualifying, the more fuel they will burn off, just to get a little bit of pace advantage. Lovely little bit of oversteer on the exit of the Roja chicane. Lesmo 1, looking the inside, taking the run off into Lesmo 2. Oh, very aggressive, but again, keeping under control. On the run down to the Asari chicane now. See how late braking is into here. Oh, and he's absolutely throwing it. It's incredible how late they can brake these cars and then throw them in, and they just have the faith. They just know that the car is coming with them.
Yeah, it would also not be the first time for us to get overly excited, because we think, oh, someone's lost it now, but they always catch it, and yeah, they're really throwing these cars around like mad. But it's very exciting to watch that, as Yanis Volborn will now come across the line for the first time.
Oh, and a very interesting gap between them. And is that the difference there maybe of having a tow and not having a tow, with Meschede being immediately behind Yanis Volborn, a second difference, Murno ahead. Volborn might think about maybe tucking in behind someone for his next lap, because that is quite a difference, but obviously still shaking out in this early phase. Pascal Poland's 3 seconds off the pace. That will certainly change. And here we have Gonzalez Cativo making his debut for Costech. I believe he's in as a sub this afternoon. He's subbed for... Who did Gonzalez sub for? Was it? I think it was
Maniti, I think.
Oh, it was Maniti, yes.
I think.
It was one of the green cars. That's definitely that.
There's still 3 available of those, so... But yeah, indeed it was Maniti. I just checked, so he was there. The beginning of the season, he did a few races for them.
And you may notice we have David Junt, who's just was temporarily fifth before being displaced by Philip Pushka, who goes up to second. Junt in for Jeffrey Fournier. You may remember last time out, Jeffrey Fournier had a little bit of a disagreement, shall we say, with race control, bit of an accident, given a 5-second penalty for a collision with Victor B, I believe it was, who'd just come out of the pits. Disagreed with it, and he threw the car into the wall and quit straight out. As a result, he was disqualified from the standings and has a 3-race ban. So David Junt is in today, and quite potentially for these next 3 races for Epic Basilia.
And I also received the news that indeed Gonzalez Cativo will probably drive for Costech for the rest of the season. So yeah, he is also a new addition to the grid.
That's great. It's good to see that Costech are now back up to 2 regular drivers. Obviously, Fekler has been the main, most consistent driver this season. Also, some of you may remember in the qualifying of Silverstone, I mentioned some interesting stats about Scuderia Cesario's lineup, about them never having a duo that's lasted more than 2 races. Today would have been Paolo Wilami and Alexander Knezevic's 3rd race together, but somehow, right on cue, Max Heyman is now in for Paolo Wilami. So still yet to have a duo that's raced together more than twice this season. I believe it's temporary for today. I think Paolo will be back at some point this season. Join Mateus Machado, Potenza Esport. Made his debut for the team last time out in Silverstone. Getting very close there. I mean, I know you want a tow, but they are very tight together with the better Julia behind. Surely not looking at an overtaking move.
I was about to say this. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, it was almost advantage for Machado as he got pushed along. But yeah, I think this is also a big opportunity today. Potenza Esport and Kostek, of course, the only teams that have not scored a point so far in this season. And I think Monza is always a good opportunity to do so, because races here can be quite chaotic and yeah, incident prone, let's say. So I think if they keep their nose clean, this might be a good opportunity today. And Gativo, so far, looks pretty fast as well.
Yeah, doing very well at the minute in 8th between the 2 Scuderia Cesarios. This could be a good opportunity, as you say. And we join on board with Gonzalez now, getting very, very tight to the inside of Lesmo 1 up on the curb. Very much attacking the corners, but he's first sector is up. And as we speed to the end of sector 2, which I believe will just ping before the Ascari chicane, he's improving again by a second. Oh, no, sorry, he's a second back, but he's improved on himself. He's not improved on himself by a second. We'll see how he does here. Into Parabolica, just a little bit of understeer, taking the car out wide. Yeah, I think he's bailed out of that one. Well, that's a shame. But he will get another opportunity. Still 12 minutes to go in the session.
I wonder what Danny Weller is doing, because he's still very close behind Machado there. We just saw that in the background as we are now watching Gustavo Frigoto. Also improving on his lap time. That might be quite a good one, even without the tow.
Only a few tenths down, obviously, because of how... Oh, and that's a great time, up into 3rd, and because of how... minimalist this circuit is. Obviously, it's a couple of chicanes. The times do tend to be a lot tighter here than other circuits, with it being a shorter lap and a faster circuit. It is very much about making sure you get those chicanes right. It's you know, there's less room for error. David Yunt back in for Epic Basilia. Jeffrey Fournier had some solid performances, but also kind of qualified in and around the top 10. So if David Young can keep this up, I'm sure he'll be very happy.
I might be mistaken, but I don't think this is the first race of David Yunt as well. I think he subbed for Epic Basilia before.
Yes, I think that's... was that Watkins Glen?
Let me just check. Yes, indeed, it was Watkins Glen. And later again in Belgium, at Spa. So 2 races, but so far he has not scored any points.
And he bails out of that lap there. Get some fresh tyres on. It's very interesting that obviously it's qualifying, you want maximum grip, but very few out there on the soft tyres. Meshida and Pushka have set their times on mediums, Frigoto on softs. There's only, I think, 5 drivers on the softs. There we go, as you can see, 6, I think. There we go, and Junt has just switched to softs as well. We know it's very high deg. So again, I'm expecting probably everyone to stick on the mediums as they did in Silverstone. It will just be a one-tyre race and then just see how well they can manage the wear. But even in qualifying, most opting to stay on the mediums, probably because they want to do a few laps out at good speed. Maybe we'll see quite a few switch to the softs towards the end of the session.
So last time you were right with your prediction on how many stops you expect. So how many do you expect today?
Oh wow, throwing me right in it there. I think was Janis Volborn getting very leery on the exit of the Roche chicane, but he's gone purple, so he's
But that is, I think that's it for that lap. That was a bit too far off the track.
Pushing it very hard. Maybe he feels like he really needs to, he's got a bit of a fight on today. See if he can recover. Only down in 11th, but he did this in Silverstone. He held off, and then seemed to just deliver his very best lap at the right time. So there might be a little bit of mind games. There was Pascal Poland's going deep into Ascari. We know they've built this package very much straight line speed first, and then obviously they're both very skilled drivers. Even Owen McGorgy, when he subbed as well earlier in the season, then they've all been able to kind of wrangle its deficiencies or weaknesses, if you like, in the corners. Every now and again, pushing a bit hard, that does step over the line a little bit. So they're just finding the limit there as Lucas Murno goes second fastest, 0.3 away from Meshida. Meshida looking quite comfortable at the minute. I'm still expecting a bit of a drop in these times. But to go back to your question, I reckon it's probably going to be another 2-stop race, and I'm basing that on vibes. I wish I could give you more scientific reasons for that, but no, at the minute it's pure vibes.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that topic either, because let's just say I say it's a 1-stop, just so that at least one of us is right, and probably it will be a 3-stop then in the end. So yeah, well, that would be very exciting in the end. So Dylan Fisher with the purple middle sector, and that moves him up to second. Currently a provisional front row lockout. To Milo.
And at the minute, Poland, so you can see again the difference. That middle sector has the most corners in it, and 0.6 down Pascal Poland's. Holland are actually struggling a little bit here. Obviously, purple in the first sector. Oh, well, as soon as I say that, Janis Volborn goes 1/10 faster. Poland's up to 6th. But what a lap that is from Janis Volborn. The reverse commentator's curse strikes again. Thank you to those who've joined us already. Thank you, Super Palco, for indulging me on my driver lineup facts. Dom, good to see you. Greetings to the friendos.
I think now, as many just went into the pit lane, we see preparation for the final qualifying runs.
And there's definitely a lot more red on that tyre, on the tyre column of the timing screen. More and more going on to soft tyres. And Pushka pulls off, despite a purple middle sector, has decided to pull off. I wonder if there is a little bit of game playing, if people are just trying to sandbag until the last possible moment. Because there are quite a few people just bailing out. You can see now Meshter and Fisher on the soft tyres. Previously they weren't. I think we're going to see times drop and the order change quite a bit this last 5 minutes. Alexander Knezovic improving by 1 up to 9th. So far, having a solid start to his time as a Scuderia Cesario driver. 2 races and 2 points finishes, 5th and 7th. Hopefully he can grab some more points this afternoon and doesn't fall foul of any special livery curses, which seem to get broken earlier in the season. Doesn't seem like it's an issue in in this particular discipline of racing. Very big on the curbs there, Knežević. The power out of the gravel out of Rozier. Got a bit of traffic here. He'd be happy with the straight line speed maybe, but seems he's gotten right up the back of that Kostec. DRS open and not going to get too... I mean, he might have gotten away, but too badly impeded, but it does seem to have hurt his lap. Oh, as we see a...
Epic Basilia.
Yeah.
I think it is Junt. No, Junt has just entered the pit, so that is even Philip Puschke. That is unfortunate for him.
Pausing to give himself a little bit of space now. He's back out on the hard tyres. He's going to go for it.
Yeah, indeed. This is also a very important race for Philip Puschke. Might be a bit of damage limitation, as he's not expected to be that strong, or at least the Epic Basilia car is not expected to perform that strong here in Monza. But always, as we least expected him, he always strike back and managed to make the best out of that situation. And for now, he looks quite quick.
He does, and he's been a very consistent performer throughout the season. Even when maybe the car development has kind of been very balanced, so in that case, it's not outstanding at either cornering or straight line speed. It's just decent at both. That doesn't, fortunately, mean I feel like he gets a little bit lost behind the cars that are much stronger in certain areas, but he's always there or thereabouts. Incredibly unlucky that the disconnect robbed him of some vital championship points last time out, as he gets a handy little toe in a straight line from the Kostec there. So there's still a chance for him this afternoon, and you never know what might happen. Lap 1, turn 1 Monza is something of a meme in how much it can be a little bit accident prone. After a purple middle sector, though, he goes second and puts himself well in the mix. However, our time's going to drop elsewhere. It's a purple middle sector for Yannis Volborn, and he bails out. So he's probably going to strap on some fresh tyres and go one more time. Lucas Murno, he's going to stay out and cross the line. Is it going to be an improvement for him? No. But Pascal Polens has done a 1 minute 20.8 and displaced his teammate. An incredible lap from him. And now the Holland car starting to show their pace. So what is the response going to be from Optimal and Puschke? Ina Gajano now. Obviously, he'd maybe breached track limits at some point. He was only showing one sector as he crossed the line, so it was likely the lap was deleted. Philip Puschke, fastest in the middle sector again.
Well, this could indeed be enough for provisional pole position now this lap. All depends on that last sector. Last time he had a bit of slipstream from the Kostec. Now he does not have that.
Very tidy through Parabolica, though. Oh, is he looking to move in? No, he does now. It's very misleading sometimes, the line. They hug that side, and that's brilliant. Philip Puschke, 1 minute 20.7. Is it another reverse commentator's curse? Just as saying, oh, I don't feel like the performance is there in the car, and here comes Philip Puschke to put himself in the mix. Alexander Knežević now on an improvement. How much is this going to get him up? So far, he's qualified in the top 8 on both occasions, and he puts himself there again. 6th place for Alexander Knežević at the minute, but still a minute to go. Still plenty of people out on laps right now. Again, still quite a mix between people who are risking the softs and staying on the mediums. Puschke's out on the mediums. Olens and Volborn are out on the mediums. Mescheder and Fischer, though, are on the softs. And Aaron Curtis here, also on the softs. A yellow in sector 2, a slow car there, actually getting out of the way. I think there's a lot of people maybe just waiting for their spot. We might see a little bit of positional gameplay here as people try and line up for a final flying lap. Curtis right on the outer limit of Parabolica there. And it's an improvement, getting them up to 11th. Dylan Fisher now. Time is about to run out.
Good enough.
Yeah, this is going to be his last attempt, unfortunately. The middle sector. In fact, the middle sector is that +6. There must have been an incident there. We did have a yellow flag briefly, so Dylan Fisher might have had an issue. He's had to bail out. So it's not going to be Dylan Fisher. There's just there a Kostek in the gravel at Ascari having to dive out the way. This could get very close and messy in this final sector. There's going to be people maybe pulling in behind the traffic to get a little bit of tow. Hopefully no accidents. It's not really helping Denny Vella. He is only down, though, by 7/10. Maybe he's going to improve.
Woolborn and Meschede should now be in the Parabolica. Woolborn bails out of it. There is Meschede. And it is very close. But the lap time, it has been deleted.
He must have had a track limit.
4,000ths of a second and 8,000ths of a second. He was only down on provisional pole time. So I believe that means that indeed, out of nowhere, Philip Puschke has taken pole position. I don't think there's anyone out there that will improve.
I don't think so. But Lucas Murno is still out on track. I'm not sure if they are still on a flying lap or if they look like they're pushing. And they're up by 200ths in the first sec, down by 7/10.
No.
Oh, and that might be them. And they've bailed out. So maybe they weren't on a flying lap. So, Meschede is still out, but as we saw, the checkered flag had gone. It's not going to be pole for Meschede. It's not going to be pole for Woolborn either. What an interesting grid we have. Philip Puschke takes pole position just when you think there might be just too much for him to do. What a lap that is to get him on pole by 800ths of a second from Pascal Polens. Woolborn can only manage third. He's alongside Ruven Meschede. Dylan Fisher just behind. Another fine performance from Alexander Knezovic. Lucas Murno down in 7th. Gustavo Frigoto returns to 8th. In Scuderia CM Motorsport. I don't really say SCMM their full name properly. That's probably why I don't. Denny Vella in 9th, Gino Gagiano in 10th, and then outside of the top 10, Aaron Curtis, David Yunt, Gonzalez Cativo, and Philip Fecker. The Costex will be very happy with where they are. Max Heyman in 15th. Mateus Machado will start in 16th for Potenza Esports course. So, another qualifying session that has teased up another potentially very interesting race. So, the drivers are going to go for a warm-up, we're going to go for a quick break, and then we'll see you for lights out in about 10 minutes' time.
Five red lights are on, and we're off at Portimao, and it seems to be a very good start from Dylan Fisher. He already has taken the lead, or kept the lead from Ruven Meschede. Oh, Giannis Woolborn running right through turn 1. Murno dropped down to 5th already, and into the first heavy braking zone they go. There is a bit of a contact between B and I believe it was Gustavo Frigoto. Knezovic dropped down. Oh, these Scuderia Cesarios in 11th and 12th already. What has happened to Knezovic? We will see a replay. Very interesting battle. Victor B still spraying smoke on everyone. Now it has stopped. Aaron Curtis in the background. The smoke has also stopped. Gagiano tries it around the outside of turn 1. Backs out of it, and I think that is the wise thing to do, but there is opportunity for Jeffrey Fournier down the inside of turn 3, and he moves past, and now this is the chance for Aaron Curtis as well. So plenty of action here on the opening laps. Van Meschede is leading this race. Woolborn is not getting DRS anymore from Philip Puschke, and Lucas Murno is super close. He might try something into turn 1. It's a late move there by Giannis Woolborn. I believe Murno won't be too happy with that. Oh, that... I complained that it was a very late move by Giannis. get another replay, and this is the overtake between Mishida and Fischer, and well, at least Fischer is not defending it. It looks like he's letting him through. It's again a bit closer to Yannis Woolborn, whose rear wing still remains short. He ran a little wide there through turn one. This might be an opportunity. Woolborn defends the inside. Murno side-by-side contact between the two, and now this might be an opportunity. Side-by-side, Woolborn runs Murno right. They both go wide. Oh, this is another situation, race direction. Surely we'll have a look, and remember, Yannis Woolborn has been warned already for the incident on the start-finish straight when moving too late. Maybe a quick reminder. Oh, this is Aaron Curtis. We've seen them round a couple of times. We've seen them round a couple of times, and now they seem to be completely out of this race. They crashed into the wall. I can't see where exactly that is. That will be interesting. Maybe we'll see a slow zone or virtual safety car under acceleration out of Samsung over the hill. Very close to Geoffrey Fournier, and that is a straightforward move ahead of turn one. Oh, Fournier running a little wide. Now, of course, the opportunity is there for Fournier for a counter-attack in the second DRS zone, but yeah, it looks like Knežević is safe. Murno stays. Oh, what has happened there? Woolborn runs right into the gravel. And it seems like he got stuck on the curb there. There's Gustavo Frigoto now just behind him. Frigoto was not able to take advantage from that situation, but Lucas Murno says thank you very much and is now gone. Play, and this is the overtake of Knežević against Gagiano. Gagiano defending the inside, but then with the help of DRS, no chance for the SCMM driver to keep Knežević behind. And then, even running a bit wide after turn one. Not able to pull the counter-attack as well. We've seen that live. And Philip Puschke into the pit lane, and there is other drivers in the pits as well. Yannis Woolborn, Gustavo Frigoto, Geoffrey Fournier. So double stacking at Maniti. Interesting. Woolborn out of the pits as well. There is Geoffrey Fournier. Now this is very, very interesting. So they will probably all be going for a two-stop strategy if they come in at lap 22, and I believe they all went for the mediums once again, if I've seen that correctly. And this looks like he's retiring. Is he? Yes. Gino Gagiano retires from this race, becomes the second retiree of the day. And this means that Willami, unfortunately this is not a battle, this is just Willami letting his teammate through. Fantastic opportunity for Alexander Knežević. He can open the rear wing now, and this looks like a pretty easy job. Fournier not even bothering trying to defend the insides, rather focusing on that second DRS zone maybe, but I don't even think he will get an opportunity. Forward for Alexander. Switch over to Knežević and Victor B. The gap is now just half a second, so we might see another move here. They're just approaching the start-finish straight. Around the final corner they go. And this should once again be straightforward for Alexander Knežević. Oh, Victor B is defending the inside. Knežević takes the long way. But yeah, he's already ahead of the first corner. So another easy pass for Knežević. Frigoto has gone into the pit lane. We can talk about better Julia later. Gustavo Frigoto is going for that undercut, lap 41, and this might be a very, very smart move for SCMM. Good news also, I think he won't have to deal with traffic. There is Jeffrey Fournier, will also be... Wilborn now in the pit lane. This is very interesting now, but this might be a lap too late even. Or he's very confident that he still had a bit of lap time in this set of tires. Now, where is Gustavo Frigoto? Knezovic into the pit lane as well. This is very, very interesting. There is Frigoto. Oh, this is going to be very close. Frigoto will have the momentum, and there they go. Frigoto is past Wilborn. Maybe that was that one lap too late. Wilborn down to 6th. The road, and yeah. Oh my goodness, what has happened? Yannis Wilborn is off the track, and he's massively off the track. Dylan Fisher with a penalty. Oh, now this race is getting very interesting. Wilborn with a massive moment off the road. Dylan Fisher in second. Now he almost lost the car. Has been hit with a penalty. And that will move. Yannis Wilborn is in the pits. What has happened there? Oh, this is very crucial for the championship. Pushka might move up another spot because Fischer has been hit with the penalty. Yannis Wilborn, what is he doing? Running past his pit? Stopping at the end of it? He won't be retiring, will he? Down in 8th. Wilborn out of the points. That is absolutely crazy. Is Yannis Wilborn retiring from that race? That almost looked like he had some issue with his wheel. There is Yannis Wilborn. He stopped at the end of this pit lane. He might have... I think it might have been issues with his wheel. Right now, as it stands, will be scoring 8 points. Wilborn might be scoring none of them. And this means the gap going into Silverstone could be down to just 2 points. From Frigoto. Throughout the day, look at how much Mercedes controlling this race up front. Fischer was sitting in a comfortable second. Frigoto already rather towards the inside, but this is going to be very interesting. Dylan Fisher takes the inside line away from Frigoto and moves past the Brazilian into turn 1. Not as straightforward as I thought it would be. But Frigoto just let that little bit of track for Dylan Fisher left on. He has not been struggling at all here today. It is back-to-back wins. He returns from the summer break just as he started it. Wilborn, a bit of showboating here, sets the fastest lap in the end as well. It won't help him at all. He will finish outside of the points. Ruben Meschede wins for the 2nd time in the WMSC. Congratulations.
Welcome back to Monza, and we have a very interesting race ahead of us this afternoon. We are expecting either a Holland Racing Team or Optimal Esports pole, and we got neither. At least at first, because there has been a couple of important penalties given out. Philip Pushka has been given a 3-place penalty, so his pole becomes 4th. Pascal Polens will now start on the point with his teammate Yannis Wilborn alongside him. Devastating stuff for Philip Pushka. Yannis Wilborn was given a final warning, just narrowly avoiding a penalty for dangerous driving standards. For Pushka, it was blocking, and then Philip Fekler also received a 3-place grid drop. So let's look at what the grid looks like now with all those changes. A little reminder, if you're joining us as well after qualifying, hello, we will have a look at the grid as the cars complete their warm-up lap. So Pascal Poland now inherits pole position, Yanis Volborn alongside him, Reuven Meshida promoted to third, Philip Pushka will start fourth, but all of them looking very pacey this afternoon. Dylan Fisher in fifth alongside Alexander Knezovic, another fine qualifying for him in Scuderia Cesario. Lucas Murno seventh and Gustavo Frigoto in eighth. Row 5 is Denny Vella and Gino Gajano, Aaron Curtis and David Yunt in for the band Geoffrey Fournier in 12th. Gonzalez Cativo on his debut for Kostek, 13th ahead of Max Heyman. Mateus Machado is 15th, Fekler serving that penalty, meaning he will start at the back for Kostek. Just a reminder, you see some slight variations in those graphics. Those are the car's standard liveries throughout the season. We've got a couple of special liveries this afternoon. Optimal Esports are foregoing their usual black and blue for a... We'll go with the Prema vibe, as you described it, Robin, as a very Italian-themed livery, while Scuderia Cesario are in yellow instead of their traditional red. Big changes brought by those penalties. So, will Holland Racing Team be able to get away cleanly? Will they just drive away? We saw a few near-miss moments for Yanis Volborn. It felt like he was really pushing the car. What is the long-run pace going to be like? It looks like we only have one driver on the soft tyres. Everyone else on the mediums. Aaron Curtis starting on the softs.
By the way, Yanis Volborn looks a bit out of place in his starting box there.
Does a little bit. As Pushka is quite over as well. But here we go. The revs come up, the lights come on, and they go out in Monza. And it's a solid start from both Holland Racing Team cars. Will they race each other into turn 1 down to the Rettifia chicane? Few smoking engines. We've got an Optimal car going to the outside, but they're all through cleanly at the minute. Filtering through, no one making any heroic moves, but Pascal Polens does hold the lead, but Meshida is fighting with Volborn. They're side by side through the Curva Grande, and we head towards the Roja chicane. Oh, and Volborn chopping across. Oh, someone on the grass. Oh, and there's going to be a runoff. Pushka's had to run off and go. I'll have to see where he slots back in, if he's gained any advantage from that, but a little bit hairy, and both the Hollands have managed to hold the lead, but Pushka, I think Pushka is having to drop back. Oh, and there's a contact, and Pushka's in the gravel. Oh, and immediately, this is an awful start for Philip Pushka after getting pole position, the penalty, then having to run on at Roja, and he's had to drop a load of positions. Now Lucas Murno is up to 5th. So instantly, that changes things. The Epic Basilia spanner in the works has been removed, and it is a straight line of stern. Holland Racing Team, Optimal, almost 3 wide, coming into Parabolica there. Knezovic just trying to hang on to the wall, just trying to get the tyres up to temperature and get the grip. Knezovic now looking to line up for Goto. Will he be able to tie in? DRS won't be activated yet, but they will have push to pass. No heroic moves yet. However, further back, the other Scuderia Cesario looking to make a move. And it looks like Max Heyman is ahead of Gino Gajano.
Yeah, and Gajano is in for more trouble, as I think it is the Kostek of Cativo that is now trying to make a move into Variante della Roggia. Side by side they go, and Cativo gets pushed wide. That is the opportunity for Aaron Curtis. Oh, but they have to let...
Oh!
Oh no, it's a... Oh, Cativo just manages to keep the car out of the wall.
That was a very tight. They're being very elbows out at the start of this race, it has to be said. So I had a few near misses.
Yeah, that is, I think, also what happened to Philip Pushka. I think Fischer tried to make a move into the second chicane there and forced him wide a bit. He came in a bit sideways, but as we were following the top 3, we didn't see how that situation unfolded. We just saw Pushka running wide and then being pushed a bit off the road at the exit of the Lasmo there.
Pushka looking now to recover immediately, trying to line up Aaron Curtis. Got the straight line speed. DRS will be active now. Oh, and not sure why. It was a little bit of a near miss moment, but it seemed like, oh, okay. Oh, I think we had a little bit of a graphical glitch there. Apologies for that. I think Philip Pushka did make the move okay. He's not having to give anything back, but he's leading Aaron Curtis on the run down to Rogia. Aaron Curtis then might look at a move, decides against it. Oh, breathless first couple of laps. Philip Pushka, though, now with a big job on his hands to try and get back through the field. We rejoin the top four, and they are all running together. It's Poland's from Volborn. And we just had a note through from race control. Dino Gagiano with a warning for pushing Kativo off the track there. We said that was a little bit over the line, and he gets away with a warning there. I'm not sure if Kativo will be particularly happy now, running 3 seconds off the back of everyone as a result of that incident. But now, it could be a rare sight here. We don't see the Holland Racing team cars race each other that much, but Yanis Volborn might look for a move into Rettifilio. Oh, he didn't. And he then had to think about Ruben Meshida behind. And this is going to be interesting now. I think that Holland are not going to race each other, but they've got to think about it. And are we going to see a situation like we had in Singapore just last week, where Poland's will stay close enough to Volborn to give his teammate the DRS to help defend against Meshida?
Well, it looked like that almost went wrong. It looked like Poland was rather holding up Wilborn ahead of the braking. Sorry for my silence there, but we have just been given some more info on race direction. I don't know what this situation was about.
I think that was the opening lap incident for Philip Pushka and why he lost all those places. Yeah. So yeah, there are no further action.
Meshida's very close to Wilborn. Sorry, side by side they go towards the Parabolica. A poor exit out of Ascari for Wilborn has given Meshida a great opportunity, and he's still very close now, going onto the pit straight.
DRS is going to come open, and we know how good these Holland cars are in a straight line, but Optimal have been developing to try and negate that gap, and Volborn goes for the block. He makes one move. He's going to be on the outside, though, on the exit of Rettifilio. Chance for Ruben Meshida. Side by side is not given up yet, and Meshida just sweeps in and takes second place, but it's not over yet. Fisher, though, might be able to attack Volborn to stop him coming back at Meshida. This is a good bit of team play now from Optimal. Chance to keep him behind. Well defended there. Good bit of defensive driving from Meshida. Oh, Poland's just kicking up the dust. Oh, they're just trying to just cut each other off. I'd say that's hard, but fair driving so far. Volborn, remember, getting that warning, that final warning in qualifying for aggressive driving. I think they were both perfectly on the limit there, but this isn't over yet. Volborn is right behind. Will he look into Ascari? Not quite. He needs to get the exit, and it seems as though, like in Silverstone, there's different parts of this track. It's a very short track, admittedly, but still different parts of it where Optimal have the edge and Holland don't. And it's really interesting because it was all about the exit of that corner, as you pointed out, Robin, that started that entire sequence.
Yeah, and now that might be the next switch. Meshida is going for the lead here into Rettifilio. Contact between Poland and Meshida, and all this enables Wilborn to go through and into the lead of this race.
Oh wow, I wonder if there's going to be arguments about that, about the rejoin from Poland, because he came across and effectively blocked, but they're going to go side by side, and now Volborn switches with Poland and Volborn back into the lead. Meshida's now he's going to be frustrated by that. He just needs to keep his cool, and now with all these fighting, Lucas Murner's on the back of them, and it's a 5-way fight for the lead now.
Yeah, and if they continue like that, Murner might be the one to take it all, because they are really on the edge right there. And look, Meshad is again very, very close to the back of Wolborn. In the meantime, Machado has received a 5-second penalty for an incident with the Fekela, I believe it was. That was just when the action at the top was happening. But the Holland Racing Team 1-2 has been reinstated. But now it is the other way around, and Myrna was having a little look there against Dylan Fisher. Oh, and a poor exit for Pascal Polens. Might be the next opportunity for Ruben Mescher. That this is not over yet. And once again, he gets the inside line. Who is later on the brakes? Oh, more contact!
That's got to be moving under the braking zone there from Pascal Polens, surely. They're in the braking zone and he's drifting across. That's a bit naughty for me. That's the first move that's been a bit suspect, but he's for now keeping behind. And Viannis Volborn, is this his chance? Is he going to try and just drop them while the fight's going on now? If he does, though, there's going to be absolutely no way that Polens can defend against Meshida, because he's looking very quick and he just is able to set himself up perfectly on the exit of either Ascari or Parabolica.
Yeah, I think Polens can't let himself drop back to create a gap between himself and Yanis, because the second Polens does not have DRS anymore, I think Meshida will just breeze past. But now Meshida is out of the DRS range. 1.3 seconds between Polens and Meshida.
Well, that's a solid lap there from Pascal Polens, and he's kept it tidy out of Parabolica, and they have managed to get a little bit of respite for this lap, but hopefully a chance for Meshida to maybe regroup and come back. We'll let you know if we hear anything from race control. And just as I said, we had a note from race control. That would go quiet, by the way. Sometimes they speak to us, and obviously we stop speaking to listen to race control, and you guys can't hear it. And that update, Pascal Polens has been ordered to let Ruben Meshida through for moving under braking as expected. We'll have another look at that in a second, but yeah, I think that's the right call there. And Pascal moving over Ruben Meshida into second, but the gap now, he's made it work for him, because now there is a 2-second gap up to Yanis Volborn. So what Fischer needs to do is get on the attack against Polens. Queuing up behind, Fragoto joining the party as well.
Now it's a 6-way fight, but that was quite smart by Pascal Polens. He let himself drop back a little bit to now take advantage of Meshida not having DRS anymore.
And Fischer's got to get on the attack with Polens now, because if he doesn't, it's going to leave Polens free to get on the back. And actually, Polens seems to struggle through Parabolica at a vital moment. So I think Fischer will be very much on the attack now. There might be a little bit of a respite. I don't think anyone's going to be in any position to make any moves this time around. So a very calm run into Rettifilio for a change. It's an important few laps for Ruben Meshida as we come back and look at the race starts. So much happened in that first couple of laps.
And that is now surely the situation on how Philip Puschke lost all of these places.
Watching them run down into Rettifilio, and it's all pretty solid coming in through those turns. Puschke on the outside, side by side with Dylan Fisher. And it was noted as no further action between Puschke and Knezovic. So Knezovic, I believe, will be just behind there in the yellow Scuderia Cesario. You'll see the action into here. Oh, and actually, it's Fisher just having a little bit of a tank slapper. It's just knocked Puschke into the runoff. So rejoins, and this is all perfectly fine at this point. So everything's kind of sorted itself out. But Knezovic sees an opportunity to get through. They just tangle wheels. And yeah, I think unfortunately it's a racing incident where Philip Puschke's come off worse from there.
Yeah, it was a poor exit by Philip Puschke out of Lasmo 1, I think, that all started it when was it Fischer and Knezovic went for a move.
Yeah.
And that was the situation that started this, so that actually had nothing to do with the situation prior that happened at the Variante della Roggia.
So it's getting interesting now. We just saw then a graphic saying Janis Volborn set the fastest lap, but it's just been beaten again by Ruven Meshida. Last lap, Janis Volborn was a 21.4. It was a 21 dead for Meshida. So at the minute, he has managed to break free just of DRS range from Pascal Polens. He needs to try and work, and you can see now where the gap coming down through the corner-heavy middle section. It's coming under 2 seconds, and it's about maximising his speed through those corners to get up to the leader. But Pascal Polens now, at the minute, looking more likely to be under attack from Fischer. Now, as you can see, they're not bunched together. They're starting to spread out a bit, and just maybe starting to lose Lucas Murno and Fragoto. Ride on board with Dylan Fischer. And he's looked quite far back this time round. I'd be surprised if he does make a move, but we've seen quite a few ambitious ones. And look at the closing speed. No DRS. That is the big difference. And he's going to be again on the inside of the exit of the Rettifilio. A very tidy move indeed from Dylan Fischer. Nice work. Job's not done yet. Down through Curva Grande we go. And he's going to go defensive to try and block off the inside of the entry to the Roger chicane. They go side by side. And they keep it very respectful. Oh, incredible work.
Oh, there goes Murno!
Oh, it was incredible work for them to go side by side through there, but obviously they had to slow so much, and Murno's closed right up, and they're back in the fight again. Incredible stuff. And now, here we go again, DRS. And is there going to be a shot into the Ascari chicane? He's Dylan Fischer.
There he is.
Up to the inside, Dylan Fischer, but again, side by side, keeping it very respectful. He's got to get the exit now, though, and Murno's queuing up as well. He's not the only one that wants a crack at this. And Poland's now having to try and block 2 cars. Trying to make that Holland Racing Team car as wide as possible. Murno almost getting ahead of Fischer. Murno backing out. Fragoto's now going to join the party, and Murno's gone a little bit wide. Fragoto might have a chance to overtake Murno. We might see 2 moves in one here, but it seems like both of them have got a better exit than Dylan Fischer. And Poland's might be safe on this occasion. And again, the closing speed of DRS, just going to have to wait. So, will he try and line something up through Curva Grande? Everyone holds position somehow. Fantastic racing here from Monza. Brilliant, respectful battle between these 4. Let's hope it continues and ends that way. Steam down to the Rogia. Doesn't look like anything's doing for anyone this lap. But there will be another chance imminently as Murno just looking a little bit untidy through there. Needs to regain some composure. There was a moment for him to maybe pick up a place or 2. But the vital thing is he's not lost any either. So that's good.
By the way, a battle at the top of the grid is forming once again. Meshida has closed the gap to Wilborn and has DRS once again. We will keep an eye on that, but of course, right now, this is the battle to watch.
2 great battles between the 2 top teams. I say the 2 top teams. Technically, Optimal are 3rd. So 2 of the top teams in the championship. And the gap is coming down to the leader. I imagine Volborn and Meshida are going to be flying down the main straight now with these 2 in hot pursuit. See what happens. DRS will be wide open now. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's quite close enough. Hasn't quite got the exit. Remember, they've got push to pass as well, so that is a factor. But not quite there yet. In a minute, Poland's has some breathing room. We join the front 2, Volborn and Meshida, gap down to 0.3 of a second. There's no team play now. It is round 2 of Silverstone. Here we go again. Out of the second Lesmo. Straight line speed. Going to be trying to help save Janis Born, but no DRS. Even without it, still a very difficult car to overtake in a straight line. He's got to nail the exit of Ascari. And that looks solid from both of them.
Yeah, but what we can really see here is that Optimal have also bridge that straight line speed gap a little bit, because remember races like Spa-Francorchamps, it was almost impossible for anyone to overtake the Holland cars without them making some sort of mistake. But now they have done it, or they have been side by side on pure pace with the help of DRS, and probably push to pass as well. A very late move there by Pascal Polens, and he misses the chicane, and now surely he has to let Dylan Fisher through, and he does that instantly. That was very fair by Pascal Polens.
He went for the defensive move, and that time was completely fair, but he just, as a result, missed his breaking point, and that has allowed Fisher through. So the question is now, with Fisher ahead, can Polens fight back? Or could Lucas Murno get involved in the fight in the meantime? Still fluctuating between about 9/10 to 3/10 at its smallest between these two. Everyone on the medium tyres apart from Aaron Curtis. So again, we will have to look. Will Walborn try the undercut?
Poor exit by Walborn.
It's a terrible exit, and he's now got a mirror full of the red optimal car. I don't think he's going to make the move. I think he is biding his time. Just needs to make sure he nails the exit. Walborn cutting to the inside there just to try and maybe bake that toe a little bit.
Now he can open the rear wing, and now he should be able to move alongside.
And they're side by side still into the Rettifilio, and Walborn keeping it alongside. That's brilliant stuff again, side by side through the chicanes. And it looks like they're going to be side by side all the way down the Curva Grande. No, Walborn tucks in. He's going to try and line up for an attack. How is Meshida going to defend this? Walborn going alongside. They break, and Walborn, brilliant late braking, and takes it back. Fantastic fight brewing between these two. No one is going quietly. And Pascal Polens has lost another place. Murno is ahead of Polens. We'll see if we can find where that happened for you and bring it to you. But yeah, with so much going on, we're going to miss a pass or two this afternoon, I think. But Lucas Murno has managed to get through. In the meantime, back up to the front, Yannis Walborn. Again, this all-important exit from Ascari. It's better than the last lap, but Meshida is right there. And he looks closer on this portion of the track than he does down the main straight. It is so important now that he nails the exit from Parabolica.
He has done it before, and I think he will be able to attack once again, but then he needs to already think about how he will defend towards Della Roggia. Oh, that was very close to the edge.
Very last-minute move out.
Yeah, no, that is not going to work.
He's going to have to let Walborn through, and that might be it for this lap, I think. I don't think he's going to have the opportunity because of the speed disparity, so he's going to have to try and line up for the next lap. Now, this might be Murno versus Polens, and he's pushing Polens, pushing it wide into the Lesmo. We saw Walborn do that in qualifying. We know that this section is where the Holland racing team cars are slower, and that's just given Murno the opportunity to get right behind with DRS. And he's got the move done before Ascari. So Murno up to 4th at the minute and currently still in 4th. Watch the replay end and have the position change now. It's fine. It's all good, guys. Don't worry about it. So, Meshida has now lost a bit of time over that lap, and there is a second between them, so no DRS this lap. Gonna have to regroup and try and reel him in once again.
But I think what we were able to see there when Meshida ran wide, I think he's trying a different approach, because I think last time the issue was that Walborn still was able to get a very good exit out of Rettifilio. So this time he may have tried to take a bit of a wider line through the first part of the chicane to then avoid Walborn having a good exit out of that chicane to try and move into the next one. So I think that is actually a good idea, because the Holland racing team car is extremely difficult to get rid of if you have them behind them. because of that immense straight line speed they have.
We have our first stopper. David Yunt is in the pits now. So that's 17 laps on the medium tyre. We saw people going in, I think, at around... I think it was almost around this time at Silverstone. Obviously, the length of race, number of laps, obviously, lap length plays in, so not exactly the same, but it's the same sort of point in the race. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the leaders coming soon afterwards. Obviously, these guys have been racing very hard out the front. They've certainly not been in tyre conservation mode at all.
No, but I don't think tyre wear seems to be that much of an issue, because they're still looking quite quick around lap 18 despite racing that hard.
And is this the Meshida, the failed Meshida move? As you see him pull into the back of Volborn. Oh, and it was last minute move. Oh, and we must have missed this.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, this is this is from earlier in the race.
Yeah.
There we go. This was the initial instance. So that was him versus Pascal Polens, and that was when it allowed Yanis Volborn to get through. What an insane moment that was, just as Meshida seemed to be broken the orange resistance. All of a sudden he had to do it all over again. Fight is not over yet. Meshida back within a second. Not super close coming into Parabolica. And it might almost pay him to not try the move into Rettifilio and see if he can line it up for Rosia, so then Volborn doesn't really have a right to reply through that middle sector where the optimal car is stronger. The closing speed is very tempting. He has a little look out, but no one swayed by that. And in the background, Pascal Polens is now trying to regroup and get back past Lucas Murno. Nothing doing there, but Meshida right behind through Curva Grande. It doesn't look like he's going to be quite close enough. I think he needs DRS.
Yeah, indeed. I agree with you. I think he really needs the rear wing, because through Curva Grande, obviously you can't open it. So, yeah, you can also see it on the straights. The moment that he can get on the button, open the rear wing, that is only when he starts to gain on the car ahead. Slipstream is not enough, I'm afraid. But now he looks very close once again. Not close enough, though.
Again, all about getting a good exit out of Ascari. But Volborn keeping his head at the minute. And down the back straight to Curva Parabolica. You always forget I now is technically called, it's Curva Michele Alboreto, if I remember rightly. So out they go. Meshida, the wing will be open, the closing speed will be great. I don't think he's quite far back. Doesn't even feint a move this time. He is going to try and get the exit. But just look at the speed as soon as Volborn puts a hammer down. Gap is once again 3/10 as they fly through Curva Grande. Quite close this time, but again, not close enough to risk a move.
By the way, David Yunt seemed not to have been in for a pit stop because he's now retired, so he probably just went in to retire the car. Even though I don't think the pit stops should be too far away, as we are getting pretty close to the halfway point of this race. So I think it will probably indeed be a one-stop race.
Yep, you called it.
Yeah, but I was just guessing, so a lucky shot there.
Here is Riva Mesh again. Closer, and you can see the back end stepping out and being controlled there by Yanis Volborn. Gap is 3/10 this time around as they come down past the DRS line. Wing open, the closing speed getting greater and greater and greater. Into the braking zone we go. He's still not quite close enough this time around. all about trying to unsettle Volborn on the exit, because here, through Curva Grande, yes, there's slipstream, but it's just not enough. You can see the gap is slightly closing, but the way that they have developed that Holland Racing Team car, it's so good in a straight line, and then the drivers do their very best, sometimes on the ragged edge, to kind of make up for its deficiencies in the corners. And it's worked for them more often than not this season, but there are moments where you see the step out of line as we join the other Holland Racing Team car, Pascal Polens, on the tail of Lucas Murno. He's certainly not been able to make light work of Lucas.
No, and the Infernal Void seems to be very quick in a straight line as well. For example, Mono has been very strong at Spa-Francorchamps, his first and so far only podium finish of the season. He came, of course, very close in Portimao, but a late engine failure has prevented that from happening. Now Pascal Polens looks very close towards the Parabolica, as Aaron Curtis is the first one to hopefully properly make it into the pit lane. Ruben Meschede side by side with Yanis Woolborn, and once again this is what we have seen earlier. Now probably Woolborn will tuck in behind him. Pushka DNF in the meantime. What's happened?
My goodness. Is that another disconnect for Philip Pushka, I wonder?
And once again, they go side by side towards the Variante della Roggia. And once again, the same happens as before, but brilliantly done there by Meschede. And now here's the battle line for the first Lasmo. He is ahead, and Woolborn runs wide, but I think there was enough space for him to stay there. And look in the background, this is Dylan Fisher. Once again, a gravel kicking up there at the exit of Lasmo 2. Woolborn now with the DRS towards Variante Ascari. They go. Can Woolborn make a move? No, not yet. A good exit out of Ascari now for Meschede. But Woolborn will have an opportunity on the pit straight. A double DNF for Better Julia in the meantime. What a shame. So that brings Holland Racing Team even closer to that Constructors' Championship. They can win today.
We have Curtis and Feckler tangling into turn one, and very soon they're probably going to be joined by the leading pair. And we have a replay now, and this is Pushka, and is this going to just be a sudden disappear back into the pits? Oh no! Oh, that looks like a technical issue. Yeah, that must be a disconnect of some kind or some other kind of technical issue for Philip Pushka. That's such a shame.
Oh, that would be the third time that happens to him this season. Bahrain, last time out at Silverstone, and now in Monza once again.
Now we look at the... and this is Lucas Murno. Has Pascal Polens finally gotten through? The outside on the entry, ready to go to the inside of the exit. Power down. Is that job done? Does Murno come back? Obviously, that Holland straight line speed. No DRS help Lucas Murno. Looking to Rogia. Thinks of it. Pascal Polens back into fourth place ahead of Lucas Murno. Meschede still holding Volborn. Gap up to 8/10 at the minute. The Gonzalez Cativo just complete his stop. The minute, Meschede seemed to be making the most of his strengths in the corners. Dylan Fisher in the pits now. First of the big front runners. Lap 24, so just under the halfway point. And it'll be interesting now. The undercut was very powerful in Silverstone. How powerful will it be here at Monza? And it's obviously going to be playing on Yanis Volborn's mind now as well. When does he make the stop? When does Meschede make the stop? It was the one time that Meschede was able to get ahead back in Silverstone. So people have got to be careful when to make the move. Alexander Knezovic in the meantime in for Scuderia Cesario. Good to see Paolo Villami, driver for Scuderia Cesario, in the chat.
Oh, what's going on there? That was a pretty long hold there for Knezovic, sorry.
That's okay. No, I think looks like he's okay. Everyone at the minute on the medium tyres. One rocking the boat just yet. Walborn only half second back, coming down towards the Parabolica.
So who's the first one to blink? Will we see one of those two in the pits right now? Meshida looks to... Oh, both of them!
And it's going to be a race of crews here. Let's see how good this is. Is one of the things that can be developed, worked on in the background as well, is speed and efficiency of the pit crew. We follow Janis Volborn down, very last box. Pascal Polens inheriting the lead of the race temporarily.
There goes Meshida. Oh, it's very close. Side by side, they go out of the pits. It's Volborn.
And he's just managed to jump him. Incredible. Which means Ruben Meshida.
Oh, and there is Dylan Fisher as well now. With the warmer tyres, of course.
Going to be Groundhog Day for poor Ruben Meshida. He's got to do it all again. But yeah, you see how much the gap closed up there between Fisher. He wasn't that far back before, but he's much closer now. Oh, and we have a Kostek off in the gravel on the exit of the Retofino chicane. It's Gonzalez Cativo. That's such a shame on his debut, missing a front wing. And will that be a slow zone or potentially a safety car?
And if that happens, that is a huge opportunity for Pascal Polens to stay in the lead.
And everyone is on the limiter now. It is slow zone, which is essentially virtual safety car. Everybody is now limited to 80 kilometers per hour. And this is huge for Polens. He's going to have a big jump. Denny Vella might do well to jump in as well. Although we've just seen Gino
Giano as well. He hasn't been in the pits either. Oh, they're side by side.
They're going to be hoping that this runs for as long as possible. This is going to be the slowest crawl out of Parabolica. They're just going to be hoping that
surely
code 80 stays.
Lead. And by a huge margin as well, I think.
And what a spanner in the works this could be if Vella and Gajano also managed to get out.
Wilborn and the others.
And there they are.
There they are.
Oh, this is going to be extremely close. Question is, when's the slow zone going to end? They're both out. Ooh, Vella, wow, very aggressive stuff. And
Vella against Wilborn, this is going to be very, very close.
I think Vella's going to be out ahead.
He is.
This is unbelievable. And now Gajano is in between. I wonder, Meshida seems a long way back. I wonder if something happened just before that slow zone, because that's a hell of a gap between them. Or there's been some liberties taken with the Delta. Maybe Meshida overcautious.
This is what happened to Cativo in the first place.
Sausage curbs. We were talking before the race about the sausage curbs at Rogier. That's where you were sat for the race this year in real life. And, well, it claims Gonzalez Cativo in quite a dramatic fashion.
Yeah, we haven't seen that happening when we sat there, but it is always a danger with these sausage curbs, and it seems like he lost the front wing already when he touched that second sausage curb there at the exit of that corner. And then Polens has a gap of 13.14 seconds. Wow.
Now, this is very interesting now, because obviously Walborn will want to clear Weller as quickly as possible, but again, it's for position, both on fresh tyres. While Gajano is in the way of Meshida. I'm really curious as to why Meshida is so far back. This might be why. Towards Ascari we go. No issues there. He does clatter a couple of the curbs. Oh, and he's
on the limiter already, and Wilborn is not.
Now, I wonder if there's going to be any discussion in race control about that, because that's a hell of a gap that's opened up. That's almost effectively allowed Volborn to get ahead of Gajano. I think without him slowing slowly, he'd be behind both of them.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I will just recheck in the rules. I think they do not have to brake. They just have to push the limiter button and then let the car slow down all by itself. And the issue might have been that Ruben Meshed just came out of Ascari and still was pretty slow, so almost instantly was at the speed that he's moving in now. And Wilborn, of course, was already going a lot faster since he was out of Ascari, and that might have been the cause for that. But let me just have a little look in the rules. I will get back to you.
If that is the case, then it is just a little bit of luck in terms of the position of when, obviously, that's been called, or maybe Mesh just being a little bit overcautious. Kativo is now registered as retired, our third retirement of the afternoon. So, unless there's a conversation happening now in race control, or if it's not an issue, I'll expect them to go green very shortly. But Walborn is going to be anxious to get right past Vela. And to be fair, I don't know how much reply Vela's going to have. The flashing green panel there on the side, but we've had no call from race control. It's still code 80.
So I have found the section in the rules. Sorry.
No, go for it.
So in Article 19.2, it says, as soon as the slow zone has been announced.
And the slow zone ends.
Get back to it later.
And immediately it's a perfect launch from Yanis Volborn. No messing about there. It means he's not going to have DRS, though. Is Denny Vella going to attempt something back, or is there going to be enough speed? I think Volborn's okay. That's a perfect start, and he can now get some space between himself and Ruben Meshed. Meshed, once again, after getting a job done, seems to have it all to do all over again. He's got a 3-second gap to rein in just to Gagiano. So quite a bit of work. But now Pascal Poland's 9 seconds clear at the front. And Poland's, it's remarkable to think he's been an excellent performer, but he has not won a race yet. He's had 4 second places, 2 thirds, a 4th and a 5th. Could he pick up his first ever? Oh! And we have a big update. We've just been debating it. Yanis Volborn, was that a drive-through they just called?
It is a drive-through penalty.
Because he was using the clutch at the activation of the slow zone, and that's what has allowed him to essentially roll that far, and it's not allowed. So, to be fair, you were just looking at the rules, Robin.
I can read it out now, because it actually says that in there, 19.2, as soon as the slow zone has been announced via voice channel, slow zone will start in 3, 2, 1 now. Oh, sorry, there is some on-track action that, of course, has priority. Did well against Gino Gagiano for third. Oh, Gagiano has a little look. As soon as that call is out, each driver must engage the pit limiter. The driver does not have to brake. In addition, the use of neutral or the clutch is not permitted. All drivers must stay in the gears when the slow zone is called. And Wilborn has not done that, apparently. So, that is why he now got that drive-through penalty.
And that absolutely makes sense, because obviously when you're out of gear, the car is going to roll, whereas there's going to be a bit of engine braking, which obviously we saw on board with Meshed. That's why he slowed so quickly. That's why the slow zone lasted for as long as it did, because obviously stewards were looking at that as Gagiano looking to pull out, try and get past Vela. SCMM and Better Julia fighting in the podium places at the minute. Meshed has already joined them, though, to try and rid them of that, but with them fighting, it's let Meshed catch up. He's hoping, though, he's not going to get held up too much. Pascal Poland's, though, new fastest lap, a 1 minute 20.9. This is his opportunity for a first ever race win. In the meantime, Volborn yet to go in for the drive-through. Here comes Meshed, though. DRS open. And he's alongside the car that's got DRS. May get both of them on one straight. This is a huge opportunity. Gagiano's going to look to follow him through. Gagiano does. They're side by side. Vela managing to defend it. Vela, they clatter wheels. And now Gagiano's going to have to try. But that's perfect for Meshed. He has cleared them without problems. Only 4 seconds to Volborn. And now this is a huge opportunity for him to... It's basically going to switch it around. Meshed will be ahead of these two dueling pair. and Volborn will be behind. In fact, he may even be behind Dylan Fisher. Maybe Lucas Murno as well, seeing how far back he is. It's going to be close.
Yeah, and I think a drive-through penalty at Monza is especially costly because the cars will breeze past the pits at full speed, while you have to go 60 kilometers an hour, I think.
I think so, yeah.
That is gonna cost him. But he will, of course, try to serve it as late as he can.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything in terms of, does he have to serve it within a certain time, or is it just within the confines of the race as they go? Denny Vella going side by side with Gino Gagiano, and it might be a complete repeat as Yanis Volborn, fastest lap, 1:19.9. That's an absolute flyer. No guesses as to why he's doing that. We know Gagiano and Vella dueling down the main straight. Fisher might have a chance to do exactly what his teammate did the lap before, and does so. Gagiano has managed to get past as well over the sausage curve, though, on entry. Can he hold on now? But both of the Optimal cars are through, and that is vital for them. And they've managed to do it without minimum fuss. While Gagiano and Vella will continue their fight. Lucas Murno is already shutting the gap. 5.2. It was down from 6 seconds just the lap before. Yes, that's an incredible flying lap. That's the first 1:19 we've seen in the race so far from Yanis Volborn, and he's going to push as hard as he can to lose as few places as possible.
Usually, to my knowledge, it should be served within 3 laps, so he should come in now, I believe. Maybe next lap. But he shouldn't be too far away now.
Yeah, that must be soon. That's surely been 3 laps, has it not?
I think it really depends on when this penalty has been issued. And I think it was only when they just crossed the line to start a new lap. But he's really getting on the limit with this one.
Well, he is, and at the minute it says both Pascal Polans and Yanis Volborn were on out laps from that previous lap, which from our timing screen means they've had a track limits breach at some point. So obviously both of them pushing really hard. They know that Reuven Meshida is going to be hunting them down. Polans might have enough of a cushion. We'll see how much. At the minute, the gap between Polans and Meshida is around 13 seconds, coming down towards 12. So you have to see if he can work it in. But it'll be interesting to see where Volborn filters out, and indeed when he serves that penalty. But here we are with Yanis Volborn. He'll be very frustrated. Got to keep his head down, can still pick up some important points today. At the minute, they are doing enough for the constructors, but it all might change.
Yeah, there he goes now.
Serve. Absolutely. Optimal needing to score 4 more points than Holland. Keep the fight alive. Epic Basilia, both drivers unfortunately out today, so they are going to be effectively out of the championship. Now, Lucas Murno, is he going to get through as well? He is. So that is going to be quite a few cars to overcome. Rigoto is in the background, but he's not going to be close enough. So, Yanis Volborn with some work to do on this final stint. Still very much a shot at him getting back up to 4th. But I think he will struggle. You have the Optimals ahead who have got pretty similar performance. Oh, and again, pushing it really hard.
As it stands, I just run the numbers. It would still be enough for Holland Racing Team to claim the Constructors' Championship here. Right now, Holland... Oh, there is a big off just ahead of these two. And who is that?
That looked like Machado. Yes, yep. Machado in the Potenza Esports car. Managed to keep it going, and has he still got a wing? He does. Big moment there through Ascari.
Yeah.
So if Meshida overtakes Poland's, that would be a 2-point swing. So if Meshida can overhaul Poland's, that will keep the championship alive. Am I right?
Yeah, so right now, Holland Racing Team would be scoring. Oh, no, actually, yeah, would be scoring 12 points against 14 points that Optimino will be scoring, so that is just a 2-point difference. If Meshida, of course, overtakes Poland's, that will turn into a 6 points advantage in today's race. So they would technically be still in the championship, but of course, Yannis Wilborn has the opportunity to move up a couple of spots, and we can already see him in the background hunting Lucas Murno for P6. So, yeah, I guess it's still very likely that we will see a Holland Racing Team championship here today.
And it has to be said, with the amount of points left on offer, if it's not today, it will almost certainly be next time out at Road America. 58-point lead coming in with only 54 maximum points available remaining after this race. They've been the most consistent pairing, the most consistent drivers. They've been superb, and if it was to be crowned by Pascal Poland's first win of the season, that would be fantastic as well. But Ruven Meshta is going to try his best to stop, but at the minute, the gap looked a couple laps ago and it was 10 seconds. It's up to 11 now. Meshida has work to do. However, the last lap, Meshida was a tenth quicker, but it's that finer margins. That's not going to be enough. But there's still time. Still absolutely time.
By the way, I wonder what happened to Gustavo Frigoto, because he's now in the pit lane. He already did his pit stop, surely. But he is now dropped out of the point scoring positions. He was 8th ahead of that pit stop. Now Knezovic has moved up.
That is interesting, because he definitely has stopped, and he seems to be being held for quite a long time, and it's a DNF. So Frigoto in to retire the car. I wonder why that was. But very unfortunate. Frigoto is very good for SCMM. Fortunately, Gino Gajano in the points at the minute, benefiting from that slow zone. Now the lone SCMM cars, that was very, very calm and easy from Yannis Volborn around Lucas Murno and ahead before the Retifillo. And this might be what happened to Gustavo Frigoto. Are we going to see something similar to what happened? Oh no! Oh. And he's just had a big moment through Ascari. Lapse of concentration, and that has lost the front wing. There's probably all sorts of other damage to the car that we can't see either. Oh, and that's a shame. Running in the points. And that would absolutely ruin his race.
But that looked very odd indeed, what happened to him through Ascari. Like, car just went straight into the wall. Oh yeah, he surely has taken some suspension damage, for example, away from that, as you said. So, probably no reason to continue this race.
Denny Vella has not left Gino Gajano alone. They are still fighting. Volborn's coming as well. Murno, I think, will be very happy to almost just get dragged along by Yannis Volborn, and this might turn into a three-way fight. As mentioned in the chat, yes, the fight between Infernal Void, SCMM, Beta Julia, and Scuderia Cesario is where it's at, and, you know, so many of them in the points. Only Beta Julia at the minute not scoring today.
Yes, they
sorry,
are.
no,
With
I know, I do, forgive me.
Yeah.
Not Beta Julia. Yes, sorry, I'm getting Beta Julia and Epic Basilia mixed up there. My apologies. Green team strike again. Yeah, after, Gajano looked a lot racier and obviously gotten past Denny Vella, but Vella has not let this go. This is still a big fight, and Yannis Volborn will be happy to see it, because that's going to make his run to getting past these a little bit quicker. Good exit from Ascari. Denny Vella now. He's going to look to put the inside of Parabolica. He does. Who's going to break later? Denny Vella does by a long way, and he gets it slowed down. An excellent move. However, Gajano will now have DRS. Is that tactical from Gajano?
Exactly. It looked like he just braked ahead of the detection line to take the DRS. And oh my god, there is contact with the wall.
That was a very big last-minute call. Gajano is round, and he's going to lose a couple of places, and we'll get a replay for that in a second. But I feel like that was almost a bit of indecision from Gajano. But then, that being said, Vella was also moving. I don't necessarily think Vella did anything wrong, but we'll get another replay and we'll have a little look at that.
Yeah, it even looked a bit self-inflicted. I think Vella chose the middle of the road. Gajano first went to the outside and then chose the inside. Oh, Murno, a big moment in the background. And
he just really wants to stay in DRS range of Yanis Volborn, clearly. And here we go. Here is that incident again. So, as you say, Vella just kind of putting it in the middle. He's drifting towards the right. But yeah, it's completely self-inflicted by Gajano. He just kind of changes direction, and then he keeps his nose in where that's an ever-closing gap. Just taken around it. Unfortunately, a little bit of a clumsy move from Gajano there. And Pascal Polens has a penalty.
Oh, that can't be true. And that is surely for track limits.
It will be. It is the sort of track that does give it, and we have more drama. Pascal Polens will... So will that be another drive-through?
Usually it is.
Oh, no! Oh my goodness. We've just had our own Lance Stroll meme moment. We've just... Was that Curtis? That must have been Curtis.
I think it was Curtis. Oh,
wow.
No.
Okay, we'll have the replay that we were going to show you, and then we'll have a replay of that as well. But there's so much going on, doing our very best at bringing you all the action. But, oh my...
we are back live now, right? Because now
yes,
the replay,
we were.
Yeah.
Oh, and Gino Gajano has been given a 5-second penalty, and he's just got on the brakes cut, and he's obviously had enough warnings so these are imposed by the game, and he will have been asked to slow down, and yeah, he hasn't slowed down enough, and that's really unfortunate. Out front, not much pressure. That's a really wasteful moment for Pascal Polens, and that would be such a shame if that's going to take away his first race win. And now both Holland Racing Team cars will have had penalties to serve. And then amongst all that, we get a glimpse of Aaron Curtis nearly losing it in front of Pascal Polens and making both of their afternoons worse, but everything's okay. And here we go. Just on the exit of the second Lesmo, bit wide, tries to keep his foot in it, but at the very least does manage to save it, keep it out the wall. So at least Curtis is still running in the top 10. Super Palco in the chat. My poor heart. Yeah, ours too. But what is happening this afternoon? Lucas Murno is on the back of Denny Vella in the other Infernal Void car, looking to get into the top 5. Good opportunity for him. Again, it's going to be interesting to see where Polens filters out. I definitely think it's going to put Volborn back in with the podium shot, so it's kind of working out at least still for Yanis, and I don't think it's going to be too bad damage-wise for Holland Racing Team this afternoon. It might, though, delay their celebrations. But the question is, will Polens end up filtering out behind Vella and Murno and have to do essentially what Volborn's just done? And here comes Lucas Murno, well ahead, late on the brakes, gets it slowed down and moved into the Retafio and power down. And I imagine he's going to have enough to stop Denny Vella coming back at the Rogia. And just worth mentioning as well, from the earlier incident, as all that was going on, Gino Gajarnio has been given a 5-second time penalty for his incident with Denny Vella. So insult to injury there. Essentially lost a couple of places himself, and then the penalty they're trying to push to keep up with Murno, but I think Murno might just have the measure of him. DRS is going to open though. Vella might be able to stick with him and look at making a move. Great angle through Ascari, kicking up dust on entry. And in comes Pascal Polens. He is now serving his penalty. Ruben Meshida takes the lead in Monza. It's been a long time coming. Dylan Fisher now makes it a 1-2. Pascal Polens on the exit. He's actually going to come out ahead, well, comfortably ahead of everyone. So it's not even that bad. Obviously, the field has spread out a lot more between when Volborn served his penalty and Poland, so not as bad. Poland's currently running in the podium spots. Murno just 2 seconds behind Yanis Volborn. We'll see. Hunt down Yanis, or if Volborn has enough. Jarno, with that 5-second penalty, might make it a Scuderia Cesario double points finish. We'll have to see. At the minute, though, it might not make a single difference. Murno almost does what Curtis does. Eternal Void. How's your heart now, Super Parco? Is it still going?
Can we call an ambulance?
I think we should just do a wellness check on Super Palco.
Yeah.
My goodness. Lucas Murno does live to fight another day. I'm getting some choppy race audio in my headphones. I hope you guys aren't hearing that. Apologies if you are. But probably all good. You know, almost 10 laps to go at Italy. What an incredible afternoon of racing it's been. So as it stands, the Constructors' Championship will carry on to Road America. The maximum 18 points for Optiminal. Only 11 points at the minute being scored by Team Holland. No more track limits moments. Hopefully, I mean, everyone must be pushing it. We've seen quite a few people overshoot the chicanes, both Roja and Rettifilio. Denny Vella, at the minute, has not given up the fight. Lucas Murno still in DRS range. Yes, Gajarno, his 5-second penalty, not going to do too much harm. He's got 24 seconds over Alexander Kinezovic. Dario Cars running well in 8th and 9th in a little bit of a no man's land. Everyone on the medium tyres. It's been a one-stopper, stopping at about the halfway point. Second stint, a couple of laps longer than the first, but should all be manageable. Everyone seemed quite racy and quite grippy, even at the end of the first stint.
Well, I think towards the end of this race, we might even see a battle for P2, as Poland's last lap was a bit faster than Dylan Fisher's last lap, a 120.9 by Fisher compared to a 120.3 by Pascal Polens. So he is slowly eating into that gap, so he might be there right at the end. He's still at least fight for P2 here. But as you said, Ash, it is not over till it's over, and I think more than anyone, Holland Racing Team will know that today.
It has twisted and turned multiple times this afternoon, and that would be a vital place for Poland to get. I'm just trying to do some quick maths in my head. I think that would be enough for them to secure the title today, because it would mean Optimal only score 3 more points than Holland Racing Team if it was a Optimal first and third with Holland Racing second and fourth. So that means if Pascal Polens can catch and pass Dylan Fisher, they can still win this title today. And still have a moment of heroics for Pascal Polens. He'll be disappointed. And remember, this all started with Philip Pushka on pole, losing the pole, Polens then being on pole, then Polens dropping back fifth, then coming back up to first because of the slow zone, and then the penalty. It's been a roller coaster of an afternoon. So we'll have a little breather. There might still be a Constructors' Championship on the line in these last few laps.
Polens is very slow on that last lap. I don't know what happened to him, but he lost over a second.
And actually, the timing screen is showing outlap again. So to me, that's another track limits moment, and he's had to slow right down to ensure he isn't getting a penalty. Of a prolonged yellow in Sect 2, and that has cleared. So nothing to worry about for anyone just yet. Dylan Fisher's been incredibly solid. Oh,
Polens now the gap is 17.8, 17.9. You can almost watch the gap getting bigger and bigger. What is going on with Pascal Polens?
Now, what's interesting is it's showing outlap again. But is this deliberate? Is there going to be a switch so Jannis Volborn can get those extra points? Maybe because, they don't have to go all out to try and win the Constructors today. It's going to be very hard for them not to seal it in Road America with the gap that they have. So maybe the focus is actually the driver's title. Yes, Philip Pusher has retired once again. Pascal Polens is then the nearest competitor in third. So obviously, this would almost confirm that they are prioritising Volborn's challenge. But then in fourth, just 3 points
behind. There's a slow Kostek. Sorry to interrupt, but
that's
without
okay.
a front wing, Fekela.
And is the other Kostek about to cause a slow zone in the dying moments of this race? With no pit stops to do, it's probably not going to cause as much issues. Oh, but Fekler is keeping it going.
That is very dangerous where he's now. But okay, I think he will be able to go into the pits now.
I think he was able to do it sensibly enough that he saw a gap and has been able to keep going. So Fekler. Oof. But yeah, the gap. This must be just trying to cover off Meshida. I know Meshida is he's 22 points back from Volborn coming into this race, but he's been on incredible form and has been fighting all the way. So there is still the concern that Meshida could pull off a Hail Mary comeback after coming into the championship after 5 rounds, but then has been in incredibly good form, especially in the second half of the season, as has Dylan Fisher. And I think this might be it here. Here comes the switch. Jannis Volborn up to third.
And I get what they're doing, just as you explained it. I mean, it is a long shot for Ruven Meshida to still compete in this Drivers' Championship and win it in the end. But if you see the form that Ruven Meshida, ever since joining in the 4th race in Canada, he finished that one in 5th. Then he failed to score points in the United States at Watkins Glen. But since then, 3rd, 2nd, 5th, 1st, 2nd, and now probably another race win. So he is on an incredible run of form lately. Since Spain, he only missed the podium once at Belgium. So there is still a chance maybe for Ruven Meshida, and they want to cover that, surely.
A long shot, yes, but absolutely better to be safer than sorry. And considering, since round 9 in Germany, Dylan Fisher's been on form, finishing no lower than 2nd. So this is his run of results. So qualified 2nd, finished 2nd in Germany, then qualified 1st and finished 3rd in Portugal, qualified third, finished third in Silverstone. He's been an incredible form, and this afternoon he's on for another second place. So it's superb. It really is. Watch Alexander Knežević running in the last points position for Scuderia Cesaro. He's going to keep his 100% point scoring record this afternoon for the team. Very good work for him, getting some consistency at Cesario. Yeah, and I don't know if anyone noticed while you were going through the stats there, the interesting weaving that Holland Team Racing were doing towards Rettifilio. It's quite dramatic. I'm not sure why, but everything's fine. It doesn't seem like they're racing each other, so stretching their arms. I don't know.
Maybe just a matter of keeping busy on the straights. So. Of course, Monza not the most interesting track to run on if you're just driving on your own. And right now, I don't think there is any on-track battle that we can expect. Murno has finally pulled away from Daniwella. Giuliano, well, he's also kind of in no man's land since the incident he had when he touched the wall. Oh no, surely not.
No.
Surely not.
Pascal Polens might just have been given another penalty for track limits. Well, you can absolutely scratch off the constructors today.
Yeah.
And he's going to go straight into serve it. Lucas Murno up to 5th. Denny Vella is going to get past. Is Gino Gagiano. Obviously, Gagiano also carrying a 5-second time penalty likely to be applied after the race. There might be more than 5 seconds between them.
Murno is pretty close to Wilborn now. 2 point something seconds, so that might be also something that Wilborn has to watch for.
Such a shame for Pascal Polens. Just needed to have that little bit of control. Without that, he would be our race winner this afternoon, without a doubt.
Yeah, he was in a situation where he could only lose it by himself, and unfortunately he did just that. And Murno, once again, he needs to be very careful on that second Lesmo.
You can see exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to push to get to Volborn, and this is just going to be a Scari where it happens. So, so is it the middle of the corner?
I think it was. He had all 4 cars off the road. It was very, very close, but I think
he slowed, but not slowed enough as well. Which that's a very of all the places to see that penalty get picked up. That is probably one of the last I'd expect. But goes Pascal Polens, and we are now on board with Lucas Murno. The gap 2 seconds. Volborn has got some traffic ahead just to...
And it is Aaron Curtis of all people, I think.
Aaron Curtis has seen the blue flags. I'm sure he will see them very loud and clearly for his teammate in a second. No conspiratorial blocking there from Curtis.
Yeah, I think Curtis, they have been very fair all season long. I think we even had some situations where they moved out of the way a bit too much to lose positions themselves, but yeah, very fair racing by Aaron all season long. Oh, and now he will even give Murno a bit of a tow here, and DRS probably as well.
Might get it all the way down. Oh, and he decides to bail out mid-Ascari. Whoa.
I don't know if that helped too much.
I don't think that will have hindered Murno that badly. Curtis just made sure they got out of the way.
Yeah. And Polens might not even finish in 6th. Right now, the gap is big enough for Giuliano, even with the 5 seconds penalty, to still be ahead of Pascal Polens.
Oh, and Matheus Machado is off, and that is the second Lesmo gone wide. Oh, and Machado stays over, notices. I think that might be the race leader coming through. Machado having a moment there in the second Lesbo and has
please be
gone
careful,
right off.
Matthews. Okay, good.
Yes, yeah, he has
Oh.
got to break a lot earlier. Yep, just taking the Route 1 out of the way. Needs to guide it back to the pits very gently through Parabolica. So, through the first Lesmo. Very tidy, no issues. Into the second, he's just on the grass in the braking zone, and he tries to get it slowed down, but unfortunately, too much momentum, and into the wall, and has lost the wing. Just manages to notice before swinging back across the track. Race leader flying through. Reuven Meshida will be now on the final lap. Dylan Fisher, 12 seconds between them. Reuven Meshida he's worked incredibly hard this afternoon. Had to fight his way through both Holland Racing Team cars multiple times. Got a little bit of bad luck, but then penalties for both Walborn and Poland's have cost them this afternoon. They were in the box seats to try and hang on. Meshida would have fought them all the way, I'm sure, but that slow zone penalty, Yannis Walborn, and then the track limits penalties, plural, for Pascal Poland's have cost them. So, it is not going to be a celebration for Holland Racing Team. It is going to be another 1-2 for Optimal Esports, and Reuven Meshida keeps his slim championship hopes alive. On to Road America we go. Reuven Meshida is our race winner, and he wins for the third time in the WMSC. Our third three-time winner this season. Dylan Fisher, his fourth podium in a row, and his second place in 4 races. Bit of a gap back now to Yannis Walborn, will come home for third. A bit of damage limitation and teamwork. Lucas Murno not able to rein in Yannis. Denny Vella will be very happy. A perfectly timed pit stop for him and Gino Gajano. Finished 5th and 6th. Pascal Poland's, even with that 5-second penalty on Gajano, will not get up to 6th. So Poland's will come home for 7th, while Knezovic, again, very solid point scoring for him. We're waiting for him to come through. There he is in the background in the yellow car. Special Scuderia Cesario livery, another point. Max Heyman will be very happy as well. Solid 9th on his substitute. Aaron Curtis hanging on for 10th. Teres Machado does keep the car going to come home 11th. And there we go. It's a lap of honour. The special Italian livery for Optimal Esports paraded to the crowd. A fine bit of driving from both of them. They had to work hard for it. And we will try and get both of them in the chat now.
As you mentioned, 3 wins for Reuven Meshida, and these have all happened in the last 4 races. And he might have even been able to win in Silverstone, if not for that moment he had with Yannis Walborn where he misjudged his braking. So, yeah, in the last 4 races, he always finished in the top 2. And there still is 3 races to go, so the chances are slim. They are definitely there.
It's been a cracking race this afternoon at Monza. Incredible entertainment up and down the field, drama. Had a bit of a breather, almost the slowest part of it was the final few laps, but we can't complain at the entertainment we've had up to that point. What a race it was indeed, and some fine racing. There was some big, hard elbows out moments, but there's also been some great racing. Lots of cars going side by side through the chicanes and racing hard but fair. It's been a very entertaining afternoon once again for the WMSC 2023.
And while we're still waiting for Reuven as he just finishes his lap of honor, I've just quickly ran the numbers, and indeed Reuven Meshida should now be 2nd in the championship. 18 points behind Yanis Wulborn. So Wulborn should now sit on 78 points, and Ruven Meshide is on 60 points, just behind him in second. With 3 races to go, the chances are definitely still there.
However, critically, there is a chance for both Yanis Volborn and Holland Racing Team to wrap both championships up at Road America. They're going to need to obviously outscore. Well, for Volborn, he's going to need to outscore Ruven Meshide, but for Holland, it's just a case of we will work out the permutations, but they are going to be so close now. It would almost require a double DNF and another 1-2 from Optimal for them to keep it alive. So we could see a double crowning the next round. But well done to everyone keeping it alive. Meshide in incredible form. We'll have a look at the provisional race results. Ruven Meshide wins from Dylan Fisher. It's a 1-2 for Optimal. Yanis Volborn in third, Lucas Murno fourth, Denny Vella fifth, Bijano sixth, still with the penalty, Pascal Polens in seventh, and Alexander Kanerzovic rounds up the points-paying positions in eighth. And we are now joined by the victorious Optimal Esports team. Another fantastic afternoon for both of you. It was not an easy one. Ruven, I imagine it was quite a frustrating one at one point because it seemed like as soon as you made progress past one or both of the Holland Racing Team cars, something would happen where you'd have to almost then do it all over again.
Yeah, it was so hard to fight against the HRT guys. They had so impressive top speed, but that was expected. But actually, we got, with some setup work, we actually got like 6 kph out of the setup. So we were only doing like 2 to 3 kph, which was completely fine. And our race pace was insane, and tire wear was insane. So, yeah, I didn't expect to win here today because this should do us in a tacky way.
Yeah, it's incredible. Everyone almost kind of accepted that, this is going to be a Holland Racing Team track. They've developed a straight line speed, and obviously you guys have worked really hard in development to bridge the gap in terms of speed. But you can tell, especially in Sector 2, where your car was stronger in terms of, where the gaps would shut. And also the fact that the DRS was really helpful because you could see, even when in the slipstream through Curva Grande, it was difficult to get the moves done. You said you weren't really expecting to kind of fight for the win this afternoon. Was it a surprise for you to be that close, or as you kind of prepared, were you kind of realizing you were closer?
When we started practicing, we saw that our times are actually quite decent. That I'm, for example, 1 second faster than Mano. And yeah, when the Holland Racing guys drove their laps, we saw that we are on the same pace, and we knew that we have the tire upgrades and so better tire wear in the race. And yeah.
You've done an excellent job to kind of bridge that gap and take the fight to them this afternoon. Dylan, congratulations to you. Your run of form since Germany has been incredible. 2 seconds and 2 thirds. Interesting race for you this afternoon. How did you feel out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we weren't expecting it. We both went into this round thinking, probably fighting for third. Expecting like Ruben already said, the HRT is just to bugger off down the road. But what we thought would be our weakest track. We ended up in some ways being lucky, yeah, but also very unlucky with Pascal and the slow zone. We lost a lot of time. But those last 20 laps were just up until Pascal got the drive-through. It was just qualifying laps from both of us, and I don't think I have sweated so much and put so much focus in for that long.
It was very interesting actually to see because, you could tell the Holland Racing guys were pushing because they were, in some cases on the very ragged edge. You guys looked both quite controlled in the car for the most part, especially as you say, if you're pushing qualifying lap after qualifying lap. Did it feel controlled, or did you feel like you were both pushing quite hard?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're both, I think, pushing quite hard, but you know, we especially, I don't really suit this car, my driving style, so we have had to make that compromise of having to make it more stable in the rear, which I think is, in some circumstances, actually benefited us
Yes.
compared to what Reuven can drive, which I can't even go near without being a second off his pace. So instead, it's 3/10 instead. It's fine.
And Reuven, obviously, with this victory, that's your third of the season. You are now up to second in the championship, gap down to 18 points. Yeah, we believe so. If the maths are correct, yeah, I think you're up to second.
I did it, so I'm not too sure, but 90%.
Nice.
So obviously, it's still alive for you. It's going to be very tight, and you're going to obviously need, hopefully, Walborn to stumble. Are you still pushing to try and take this title fight as long as you can?
Of course.
No, absolutely, and it's been very entertaining to see. We don't know for sure. Are you guys both likely to be racing again for the full season next year? Because if you were here from the beginning this season, it would be a much different story for sure.
For me, for myself, I don't know yet.
Okay,
We'll decide after the final races.
Okay, that's very interesting.
And
Well,
yeah, for me, it's very much dependent on if next year's car suits me a lot more than this one. I mean, this car's fun. It's just not the most realistic car to drive. But at the same time, if Reuven doesn't race, I probably won't either.
oh wow, very interesting. Well, from a spectator's perspective, we both hope you are here in some form to bring the fight, because it's been incredibly entertaining to see you as optimal going toe to toe with Holland Racing Team. It's made the last few races very very entertaining indeed. But congratulations to you both. Very well done, and good luck for the next round.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was a fantastic race this afternoon, Robin. I mean, just so much happened. I feel like I can't even remember everything. There was so much twists and turns, some great racing, and lots of drama.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen definitely a contender for race of the season here, but there's 3 more to come, and 3 more that might actually beat this one. And yeah, we might even have the championship fight still alive, very much so. Yeah, in 3 weeks' time, we'll go to Road America, so you should definitely not miss that one.
And it's very interesting, I think, of all the remaining tracks, it's going to be a similar story where I think it's going to be very evenly matched between these teams. There's no big out and out speed tracks. I think out of all of them, Road America is probably going to be the one with the most benefit for Holland. But again, there's sections in it where it could swing both ways. This could be very interesting indeed for all of these 3 rounds. But there is that chance for Holland Racing Team and Yannis Volborn to wrap up both championships next time. And I do hope you will join us for it. Thank you all so much for joining us once again. Robin, thank you. It's great. It's good. We're both here now for this run into the end of the season, and I cannot wait. And I hope you all at home will join us as well. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.
Goodbye. Bye.